A lot's changed over the last year or so. Yep, I am of course talking about the Classics World fleet, an eclectic mix of British, European and Japanese cars of all types and from various eras. What with so many coming and going, being bought, sold, fixed and road tripped over the last 12 months, we thought we'd talk you through every car on the Classics World fleet that you've seen since March 2020, and what's happened to them since. Let's start with one of the most popular, the 1984 Ford Escort XR3i. Owned by our friends at Lancaster Insurance, the XR3 is still on the fleet, having been off the road for the winter. The car's had a few mechanical tweaks since you saw it last on our Hot Hatch shootout, and there's still time to enter to win it. Follow the link on screen or in the description. Next is Phil's Audi TT, which has been reliable for Phil since he bought it in January last year. Plans for the car include refurbishing the curved wheels and having the LCD cluster rebuilt, but Phil's lust for an X150 Jaguar XK might see the Audi sold this year. If you're interested, give us a shout. Next came our three cheap classic projects: my 200,000 mile Peugeot 205, Jeff's Ford Puma and Aaron's 1500 quid Range Rover P38A. After a year spent improving the three cars, we took them on a farewell drive through Northamptonshire last year, and if you saw the road trip video, you'll remember us revealing that all three were sold to the same buyer. Since then, the 205 has had a small amount of welding on the near side B pillar and some MOT related repairs before eventually being moved on through eBay for almost £700. Not bad for a car that I bought for 400 quid. The Range Rover's vague handling and dreadful fuel economy were finally rectified, the former by adjusting the tyre pressures and the latter by replacing some split vacuum hose. The big V8 bus enjoyed a brief stay with its new owner before selling at auction for over £4,000. That just leaves the Puma, which has been faultless since sale, and the buyer's wife continues to use it as a daily driver. Jeff's search for a Puma ever since we sold this one has highlighted quite what a good example his was for just £1,000. When you met Phil's Honda S2000, it was being dragged out of an 18-month hibernation in the garage. You'll be pleased to hear that Phil still owns it and it's now back on the road. In a few weeks you'll see it looking its best once again. Our four retro coupes going on a road trip celebrated the end of Lockdown 1, but each has had a very different fate since then. We've covered the Puma and the Audi, but most surprising might be the Alfa GTV. I bought it from the company before spending most of lockdown fixing and improving it further, then auctioning it off with a proportion of the sale going to charity. Ultimately, the Alfa raised over £430 for the Samaritan's mental health charity. Finally, the Honda CRX. Still with us, as you might have seen recently, we're giving it away later this year. Follow the link on screen or in the description to enter to win this mint 1989 1.6i16 for just a £5. Bargain. Paul's Alfa Romeo Spider hasn't appeared for quite some time. After 23 years of ownership, he sold it. The little Alfa was bought by the same person as our three cheap projects. Paul, meanwhile, now in possession of free garage space, has since bought another Roadster. Stay tuned to find out what. Our pair of custard coloured convertibles came out for a head-to-head in sunny August. Our Mark II MX-5 California is now in the Hobbs Parker 28th of April auction since we no longer need it. So why not chuck a bid in and you could own this famous piece of Classics World history. Our Mark III MR2 meanwhile now lives with me as part of our Cheap Roadsters challenge. I'm loving this often forgotten sports car and you'll see more of it soon as the work begins. A surprising hit last year was our 1985 Austin Montego estate. Bought as a project for Classics Monthly magazine, this beige bus might only have 34,000 miles on it, but being a Guernsey car has suffered some heavy rust through exposure to sea air. A lot of work has happened to the Montego since you saw it last, and we'll be revisiting Simon soon for an update. Almost a year to the day after last year's Cheap Classics challenge came our £2,000 Japanese Roadsters that aren't MX-5s challenge. As we've said, I dragged our unfairly neglected Toyota MR2 out for this challenge, whereas Jeff went over budget for a 1993 Honda Del Sol VTI. Both of us have been busy fixing things ready for a post-Covid road trip, and you'll see updates on both these cars in the coming weeks. Having finished the run in Classics Monthly magazine, our 1981 Ford Escort Mk3 was feeling sorry for itself in our car park, so we swapped it for a Bentley. Yep, our 1.3L partly paid for our new 1989 Bentley Turbo R, a purchase we felt really good about. for about 2 miles when the Bentley shredded its alternator belt. We later had it and the old battery replaced, and since then we've taken the Turbo R to specialist Nigel Sandal for his professional assessment of our purchase. Stay tuned for that video very soon.
So to answer the question, what could possibly go wrong with buying a cheap Bentley?
Yeah, this.
So that's an update on every car in the Classics World fleet. Some sold, some bought, some fixed, and some slightly broken. Which one's your favourite? Which one do you want to see more videos of? We've actually already bought another rare British classic that you'll be seeing in a few weeks, but for now a massive thank you to all of you for helping us get to over 10,000 subscribers. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already for a new video every single Wednesday, and we'll see you again soon.